Okay, we've got problem 3 of the review packet, and we want to again evaluate the other 5 trigonometric functions of theta, given that the cotangent of theta is the square root of 3. So I've drawn myself a triangle, labeled it A, B, and C. I'm going to designate angle A to be theta, and I know that tangent of theta from SOHCAHTOA is opposite over adjacent. I also know that tangent and cotangent are reciprocals. So if tangent is opposite over adjacent, cotangent is going to be adjacent over opposite. Alright, so I know the adjacent side will be square root of 3. So the side adjacent to theta is square root of 3. Whoops, I wrote a 1 there for some reason. It's square root of 3. Alright, that's the adjacent side. The opposite side will be 1. Because square root of 3 is the same thing as square root of 3 over 1. And just as we did in the previous 2 problems, we can't build our trig ratios until we find the third side. In this case, it's the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse. The Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared in this case is 1. So I have 1 squared plus the square root of 3 squared is equal to c squared. 1 squared is still 1. The square root of 3 squared is 3, is equal to c squared. So c squared equals 4. Take the square root of both sides. C equals 2. So we can see our hypotenuse here is 2. Once we have that, we can go ahead and build our trig functions using the completed triangle. So I'm going to start with sine. Sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So that's 1 over 2. Cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's square root of 3 over 2. And tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, so that's 1 over the square root of 3. You're probably realizing that we have a square root in the denominator, which is not acceptable. We have to simplify it by rationalizing the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by square root of 3 over square root of 3. 1 times square root of 3 is simply the square root of 3. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 will simplify to 3. So I'm going to go ahead and find cosecant of theta, which is just the reciprocal of the sine of theta. So the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Alright, secant of theta is the reciprocal of cosine. So it's going to become 2 divided by the square root of 3. Again, we've got that square root of 3 in the denominator just like we had for tangent. So I will rationalize by multiplying by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. And we will get 2 root 3 over 3. And then cotangent of theta was given to us. That's simply the square root of 3. And that is problem 3.